I really do. I don't know if the stream has started yet. I think it has started. It has started. I do. I want my business to be like my garden. It's just feels like a necessary thing. Hey, everybody. It's Elizabeth Ocean here, and you're watching Unicorn Secrets. What does my business and my garden have to do with each other? So I'm pulling like 30 of these little suckers out of the ground every single day. There's so many of them. They're just like falling off the vine, and there's like everything is growing. I just pulled like a bunch of chard like this big, and there's tons more of it. Everything is growing right now. And I pulled it in, and I'm making food, and I had this realization that I wanted to share with you all on this episode of Unicorn Secrets, because I am dedicated to helping women entrepreneurs to rise, to succeed, to speak to the big audiences that they want to speak to, and have ease and flow while they do it. Gardens are a perfect example of ease and flow. Wouldn't you agree? So what's happening is in the early part of in the spring, we had to like put dirt on it and dig and like do the work, and even in previous years to make the thing. But here's what's happened, which is really, really exciting. We just got back from 10 days off grid, which I do. Every single month we take a week off, and this time we went off grid, which was really, really special. We have a secret wilderness spot that we love to go to and really recharge. And so I was away from this little garden that I have, basically it's almost like a community garden, because we're basically living in the wilderness right now. Anyway, went away and came back, and the garden is just exploding. A sunflower that was like this high is now like 2 feet high, and it's just going to keep going. And I had planted it pretty late, and it just exploded. A zucchini that was like tiny, the whole plant is enormous. There's food everywhere. There's so much abundance, and it's just happening. Here's what I think is really special. It's just happening. This stuff is just growing, and I'm not having to put any effort into it anymore. Notice this. I'm not having to put effort into it, and my basil, however you like to pronounce it, is just exploding. I want my business to feel like that. And I want your businesses to feel like that. So as I was picking these things and brought them in to eat them, and there's just such an abundance, and making a meal with like everything from my garden, I thought, I want my business to be like this. I want my business to feel like this, where I can almost sit back, give it what it needs. Yes, nourish it, give it leads, give it visibility, do events and do things like that. But it's easeful. I can stand there with a hose and just hose it. That's like all I have to do. Nature is taking care of the rest. Momentum is taking care of the rest. And I think of that in my business. It's when we put in enough of the foundations, the nutrients, the water, the structure of the walls of the little boxes we built for the garden, the dirt, the poop, the seeds, all the good stuff. When you put that in, at some point you will be able to stand back and just water. And yeah, if you need to take your garden to the next level, then you're going to need to like rebuild some structures or add on or whatever it is. But at some point, even when it's smaller in growth phase, in between growth phases, it's just going to produce. And even the pieces of our businesses that are set up, they're just going to produce. Some of those plants we have to replant every year, and some are perennial, and they're just going to keep producing for us. So what do you want your business to feel like? A waterfall? Put it in the comments down below. A garden that just keeps producing for you? Put that in the comments down below. How do you want your business to feel? I want mine to feel like a garden. So how can you make yours feel like a garden? Lessons from the garden. Number 1, put in the effort. Some of you might still be feeling like, well, I don't want to do anything. I just want to do like my expertise. I just want to like teach or do the healing sessions or whatever it is that you do. You want to lead your people, but you don't want to put into building the garden box, putting the nutrients in, planting the seeds. You want somebody else to do that for you. You want somebody else to like manage your social media, set up your online tech. And that's great. If you want to pay somebody to set your garden up, do it. I love setting my own garden up, because when I get out there, the feeling of what is it? It's a feeling it's a feeling of satisfaction. Like I did that. It feels so good. I'm out there, my bare feet, and there's stuff growing everywhere. I did that. Where if somebody else planted it and set it up, I wouldn't have as much connection with it. That's why I love to set up parts of my business. There's also a reason and a purpose for that, because when you do, you actually have the ability to control, adjust, know if you're hiring the right people and if what they're doing and what they're charging you for what they're doing is right. So I think it's good as a woman entrepreneur to know how to do the things so that you don't ever have that feeling of, I don't even know how to do it or what it is. It's late at night, the night before lunch, and something needs to be fixed and you're the only one available. You could do it. Now you're going to have people doing it for you by that point, but you could. You're not held hostage to other people. Like, you've set it up. And I think that's really special and that's really powerful. So I love being able to set up my own garden. So that's number one, like put the work into setting it up and then leave it alone. Like, have some points where you leave it alone and you rest and you just turn the other way for a minute and you focus on up-leveling your own self and your own heart and your own soul. Speaking of which, if you need to do that just as a woman, not as an entrepreneur, not as a person in business, but just as a woman, you need to nurture your own heart. Join me for Women's Spirit Summit. It's coming up August 15th through 17th. I'll stick the link here below for you. It's free. It's an absolutely free event. It's not focused on business. It's focused on your heart and your soul. I'm bringing together over 20 brilliant experts in healing, wellness, and spirituality, all in women's health specifically, to help you to take your whole life, excuse me, your whole life to the next level. So I'm going to make sure that you have a link here for Women's Spirit Summit. It's womenspiritsummit.com. Just go to womenspiritsummit.com. Grab yourself a free seat in womenspiritsummit.com. So that's number one, is put the work in. Number two, let yourself work, give space to work on yourself. And number three is continue to nurture. So you've got to get in there and water it. When I'm away, somebody's in there watering it every single day, or set up an automatic water, which is like your auto sequences, or maybe you pre-set up your social media of your emails so that they would go out without you. That's great too. You can set things up on autopilot so that your garden can still be watered and nurtured, but there's not as much to do. And then there's going to come a phase of harvesting. And that's like when you go into the relationships with your people and you say, hey, I've got a program. Like, we have a year-long program. Our next start date is in September. If you're interested, message me. Our next start date is in the beginning of September. So where was I? Oh yeah, you're harvesting. You're going in and saying to your people, I have something amazing. I've been nurturing the community. I've been nurturing this business. And you go in and you say, here's something. And then you start to harvest and you pull off the fruits. And that's amazing. Like, you're pulling off your tomatoes, your zucchini, your peppers, your basil, your strawberries, your potato. You're getting an idea of all the things. We're even growing edamame. How cool is that? It grows really easy, all sorts of things. So you're growing, and that phase of your business when you're harvesting is your sales and your conversion. It's so powerful. I'm just making all this up on the spot, by the way. I get moved by metaphors. I get moved by the metaphors of life. Okay, so put the nutrients in, give it space to grow, and then harvest. So powerful. So powerful. And these are the phases of a garden. Sometimes it's space to grow and sometimes it's space to rest on either side. But there's definitely putting the nutrients in, putting the energy in, building your list, growing your following, working on your show. If you don't have a show yet, reach out to me or just type the word show in the comments down below. If you're like, show me how to do a show, I can show you how to do a show that gets your eyes on you and gets people paying attention to you. Okay, what else? And then make sure you are harvesting. Like, these little guys need to be picked. Otherwise, see what happens? Let's see, check that out. If you don't pick them, they start to split. They start to split. It's still edible, but if you left it for long enough, it would split and you wouldn't be able to use it. People are like that. Your audience is like that. If you don't have a call to action, an offer, an invitation, something to invite them to, a step for them to take, do you have a step for your people to take with you? If you don't have a step for them to take, eventually they'll just be like, meh, and then they'll return to the earth. So they'll return to somebody else's list. So you might as well be nurturing them in the direction of working with you, because that is so powerful. So these are lessons from my garden. I was so inspired, came in to make food. These are some lessons from the garden. And I want my business to feel like a garden. I want it to feel like I put energy in, and at some point it's so abundant. There's so much flow coming in. There are so many clients that I couldn't possibly pick them all. And I have to only go for the best ones. And that's how my business has been feeling and is starting to feel more and more. How many of you are with me that you want to cherry pick your clients, that you're like so excited that you get to work with the absolute best people? And that's how I feel right now. The Women's Spirit Summit, womenspiritsummit.com, that's coming up. I am working with an incredible group of leaders. These women are powerful speakers and healers and practitioners and inspirations in their own communities and in their own fields. They are thought leaders in their fields, and they're going to be sharing their best wisdom with you at Women's Spirit Summit. So you can come and see what I do with my clients behind the scene, how I train speakers, not just to speak and command the stage with courage and confidence, but also how to do the marketing that sets them up that they can claim any stage, any book deal, any platform that they want to be on. This is what we're doing over here. It's really exciting. So join us for Women's Spirit Summit, August 15th through 17th, womenspiritsummit.com. Go ahead, Women's Spirit Summit. Not just Women's Spirit Summit, but women's with the S on the end. womenspiritsummit.com. Type it in right now. See if it works. womenspiritsummit.com. Register, get your free seat so that you can nurture your own soul. Take the time and the space to breathe so then you can harvest in your garden, in your business again, and so that you can uplift your own heart and you can tune back into your own wellness and your own calling. I'm going to be doing some workshops on that as well. You'll see me leading the whole thing. Come and learn with me. You can ask me any questions. So womenspiritsummit.com, August 15th through 17th. Let your business feel like a garden. Let it be abundant. Harvest the rewards of the work that you put in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Unicorn Secrets, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye, everybody.